gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities, Wednesday, July 23rd. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we continue a best of show here in the Quad Cities today. We've been very lucky and blessed over the 6+ months that we've gotten to do the show to land some and enjoy some really big and fun interviews. So on today's show, we're going to take a look back at 3 of my favorites over the last couple of weeks and months. Shauna Green, the Illinois women's basketball coach, will join us here in a matter of moments. We'll have that interview for you. Coming up in segment number 2, the NFL football season right around the corner. Everyone knows that I'm a huge Lions fan, and there's a local connection with the Lions. Head strength and conditioning coach is Josh Schuler. He graduated from Muscatine, right from here in the Quad City area. So got a chance to catch up with him. We will have that interview for you as well. And then growing up in the Quad Cities, one of the guys I always watched was Thom Cornelis. Thom Cornelis joined me out in studio about a month ago. We'll have that interview for you in segment number 3 as well. So a lot of fun things to get to on today's show. And we start with a young lady who's turned around women's basketball at the University of Illinois in just 3 short seasons. Here's a look back at our interview with Shauna Green. And we're joined now by a familiar face down in Champaign and, of course, here in the Quad Cities as well, especially up in Clinton. The Clinton native and Illinois women's basketball coach Shauna Green joining us. First and foremost, Coach, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to talk, and anytime I can get back in that area, I love to talk to people from there.
I want to start there because you got a lot to talk about. You guys are winning games and bringing in great recruiting classes, a lot of excitement. I think season tickets go on sale next week. We'll talk about that too. But I want to talk about this area because this is where you're from, the Clinton grad. I know you're proud of that. Kind of talk about that and how this area in Clinton kind of shaped you to coach and the person you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, we don't probably have enough time to talk about all of that, of what just, I think, being from, Iowa, being from that area, my upbringing, all the people I had in my life, obviously my parents, all the coaches I had, really has, again, made me who I am today. And I think you always just, I never forget where I've come from. And I still consider myself just, a girl from small town in Iowa that's just worked really, really hard and had some great opportunities and just always tried to make the most of it. I always believed if you do things the right way, you work really, really hard, you treat people well, more often than not, you're going to have success follow that. So just been really blessed.
I love the MAC conference. I love the rivalries in that conference, and I've covered it for 25 years. Going back, can you remember those battles? Obviously basketball, and I for some reason I think you played volleyball. Am I right?
Yeah, I played volleyball and basketball.
So can you remember those days and what stands out to you as a young Shauna Green? Not that you're old by any stretch, Coach, but a younger Shauna Green wearing a Clinton uniform and battling in the MAC each and every night.
It's funny because I've been able, the last couple of years, I've recruited, some people from that area and have gone back to some of those gyms. And I remember, it brings me right back. Obviously recruiting Divine for the last couple of years. She's going to LSU, but recruited her and I went to watch her at North Scott. Went back to watching, her at Davenport North. And it's amazing because I don't have a good memory, but I remember instantly like some of those battles. I'll never forget the story at North Scott. It was in the, to get to state, one of the regional games. And I don't know if this is good or bad to say how much I was hated, but they had signs of me. The student section had signs of like my face with like blood all over it. And like the AD, I remember like the AD or someone had to go tell them like, take those down. But I mean, that shows, I take that as a compliment, right? Like you gotta, I mean, that shows how intense those, and we beat them at their place, at the pit. So I remember all those battles, and volleyball too. There was such a great conference, for volleyball back then. Davenport West was really, really good. Davenport North was really good. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to remember them. And like I said, it was really cool to be able to recruit some of kids from that area and be able to talk to them, about the MAC and that I played in it. So great times, and it's still a great conference.
Coach, this area continues to produce Division I talent, and so often the guys' side got looked at with the Chase and Randalls and Joe Wieskamps and guys that had come out of this area, and the girls' side I think right now is as good as ever. You mentioned coming up here and recruiting Quad City area kids. Being the head basketball coach at the University of Illinois, does the Quad Cities grab your attention when it comes to the type of talent that we have in this area and that we have had in the area in recent years?
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if they continue to produce high level players, because it's an easy trip. I love going there. It's fun to talk to these recruits. You have something they can connect over. So yeah, anytime there's a high level kid that we believe can come here and make an impact at Illinois, we're going to recruit them really, really hard. And there have been some of those kids, the last couple of years since we've been here at Illinois. Actually there's a great, player in Clinton right now with, and obviously she's already committed somewhere else, but just, it's great to see. I love it. I love to see that there's great high level basketball players that can go anywhere in the country. So it's great for Iowa. It's great for the Quad Cities. As long as they don't all go to Iowa, I'm good with it. So
No, that's absolutely the case. Shauna Green joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coach, I remember interviewing you, and you did a lot of interviews, but you're down here for the Illini Caravan, and you were just getting rolling. Hadn't even coached a game there, and it was this young, energetic coach coming in to a program that hadn't been to the NCAA tournament in 20 plus years, and you hit the ground running. I know it's not just you. You have a fantastic staff. The players have bought in. But if I would have told you 3 years later, you would have been to two NCAA tournaments, won a game, had the success. Obviously, that was the goal. But did you expect it or hope that it would come as fast as it has?
First off, I appreciate you calling me young. That was the best thing. That was the best thing I heard all day. But I guess how my mind works, I would have probably said you're crazy if we're going to go to the NCAA tournament in year one. I really probably would have said that. But I know also we came in, myself and my staff, we expect to win. Like that's the only thing that, is going through our mind. And we're building at that, instilling a culture of that. But knowing how the program, it really, I've said this, and I don't mean this in disrespect, and our AD has said this. Actually, we were in Chicago last week doing some stuff, and he said this, it's probably the worst P4 job that was, out there. I mean, that's where the program was, and just losing. And a lot of people said I was crazy for taking it, but I saw an opportunity. I saw, yes, a challenge, but I saw and knew we had the best AD in the country in Josh Whitman. I knew the resources he was going to put behind it. I knew the facility that I'm sitting in right now is one of the best, if not the best in the country. And I really believed in this area that we could go and recruit. There's really good players in this area. I know that because I've been in this area a long time and obviously grew up in this area. So we just had to get people to believe in the vision, because we didn't have the recent success, and you get a few people to believe, and they did, and it just is kind of crazy how it all worked out. But I also think it shows what happens. Anything can happen, and if you get the right people, and you do things the right way, you work at a high level. you can do some really special things together. So we've been able to do that in 3 years, but it's about sustained success. We're not where we want to get. We have a long ways to go, and it's harder to stay at the top, than to make that jump. So it's been a fun 3 years, and I'm really proud of where our program is, but by no means are we satisfied. We want to keep growing this thing.
Absolutely. And Coach, you look at it too. You mentioned, you almost took my next question, because Josh Whitman is, and that success breeds success. And you look at what's going on in Champaign. You have a football program and a men's basketball program and baseball. Everybody's just doing, and it comes from that guy. I mean, talk about the culture down in Champaign right now. And I think that's something I'm assuming you probably saw from the outside looking in as intriguing to come to Champaign.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I would not be sitting here if number one was for Josh. I mean, he was relentless in his pursuit of recruiting me, and you cannot win at the highest level, at any level, but you can't be successful if you do not have the right people leading the way. And, our chancellor at the time, Chancellor Jones and Josh Whitman, just the best of the best. So I really knew we could do some special things with them. And again, now I get to share a facility with Brad Underwood, and he's just been from the start. Brad and Brett were just unbelievable. And you just don't have that everywhere. Like our hashtag here is family. It's not just a hashtag. You feel it. I mean, Brad and I talk pretty much every day. Just, talked to him this morning for 20 minutes. I mean, we're constantly, because we're in the same facility. I call it like this our house. And, it's a good bond between staffs, between players. And you're right, it's contagious. They're winning. So now in our building, we want to win. We're winning. We're constantly watching each other's practices, talking to each other about it. So we're learning for each other. We're supporting one another. Brad, anytime, he'll meet with any recruit we want, anytime he's here. How many head coaches and the Big Ten for football really give two craps about women's basketball? Let's just be honest, right? And will do whatever we need him to do. It's just special. It's unique. You don't get that family feel and culture at many schools. And it starts with Josh. It starts at the top.
I had a charity golf outing up here last weekend, and some of the Illinois football players came up, and you'd be surprised, and you won't be, you shouldn't be, how many people came to me and talked to me about Illinois women's basketball. There is an excitement. I love it because you're grabbing a microphone every now and then and talking to the crowd and all those kind of things. Talk about, you've built two things, because you got to build a program and a roster and those things, but you had to build that culture and that excitement, and it's getting there. Season tickets go on sale next week. How excited have you been to watch the seats fill up around you and see the environment that you've had down in Champaign? One that can continue to get better. I know you're excited to continue to grow on that.
Yeah, I mean, we've come so far. It's funny because those are things like when you're taking the job, I didn't even think to look. I was worried about so many other things. I didn't even look at what's attendance? I'm glad I didn't look because, KB, one of our players that was here before and then stayed on, she's like, Coach, our last year, she was saying this the first year, before you're here, there's 500 at the game. No one was there. And we just consistently kept building it. But I said from day one in my press conference, it's going to take everyone. It's going to take a village. It's going to take the community. Coming from Dayton, we had such a great support from our fans and the community, and we had great crowds. And that's why we're able to have success. So I'm again, super happy and really proud of how far we've come and broke a ton of season, records, attendance records, season ticket holder records, but we're still not there because we're everywhere in the Big Ten. You're going and there's 10,000, selling out places, Iowa selling out. So we've come a long ways, but we still have another jump to go. But just this community has totally embraced us, but you have to develop that culture. And I want them to feel like they're a part of our family. I want them to feel like they're a part of us and they know our players. And I think we're getting there. And I said this to a group I talked to the other day. I'm the same way. I can't even tell you how many more people have come up to me and Coach, we never even paid attention to Illinois women's basketball. Now we're season ticket holders. And they actually know what's going on. They know what's happening in the program. So that's exciting, and I love it. But we're just going to keep on trying to take it to a whole nother level.
I want to talk to you a little about basketball and the on the floor stuff. And you made the NCAA tournament again last year, and you got that victory against Creighton. I know that some people it's a win against Creighton, but it's important to have an NCAA, not just an appearance, but to have success in that tournament. What has that done for yourselves, for recruiting, which has already been really, really good? It's a great way to build off to the future, having those type of experiences and that victory, isn't it?
No doubt about it. I mean, winning is what it's about, right? So yeah, we made it to the NCAA tournament this year in a year that was filled with absolute adversity, and things just continue to throw at us. When you lose an All-American, your starting point guard, you lose our, Gretchen Doland injury. We lost our big that we thought was going to come in and help to an ACL before the season. I mean, I can go down the line. We ended up with really about 6 healthy bodies of kids that played in the NCAA tournament. And the toughness they showed, the togetherness they showed, how they just continue to fight and have positive responses in adverse situations. That's what I was most proud of, because that means some of the lessons and all the things that we were instilling from day one when that group got here, they listened and they were applying it. But being able to get to that NCAA tournament, we said from the beginning, our goal, like, we're here, we want to win a game. That's that next step, and to be able to beat Creighton, for people that aren't familiar in women's basketball, is a really, really great team that's been, a consistent top 25 team. And he does a great job. They're a really hard system to guard. So I didn't love the draw when it came up. I'm like, I don't want to have to guard this action. So proud of our guys for rising to the occasion and getting that win. First win in the NCAA tournament in 25 years. So that's a big step in our progression. And now we want to try to make that next step. And that next step would be getting to that second round, getting to a Sweet 16. That's that next step in our program.
Coach, you look at the roster and you lose some special players and 4 starters and those kind of things, but you return some talent. And then there's the transfers, and then there's one of the best recruiting classes, I think, in Illinois history. I know you don't get into the numbers of everything, but dorks like me, 8th in the nation and all those kind of things. How do you reload? Because it is different in this world of college basketball. Maybe 10 years ago we talk and it's recruit, develop, but there's different venues to restack a roster. What's your philosophy on how you go about reloading, I guess?
Yeah, in a normal year, we want to have a good mix. We don't want to have to go heavy portal every year. We want to retain and develop, and we've been able to do that. I know times are changing. We've dealt with NIL the last couple of years, but I think as we go into rev share, hopefully we'll see. We don't know how it's going to look, but we've done a really good job, even over time at Dayton and here, of retaining players. Just like that core group, that core group from day one, they stayed together, and they could have went other places. They could have went other places to make more money. But that, again, was why this year was so special, because they said, you know what, we believe in here. We believe in the vision. We believe in the people. And they had pride that they wanted to do it at Illinois. So to keep that group and then to have them reach the success and do some of the first, in 20 some years in this program, is just so special for them. So we want to retain, and you retain, I believe, through culture, through relationships, through, just having a really healthy environment where people can thrive in. This year's a little bit different. We lost because of COVID years and our kids stayed. Ended up having 5 seniors. You never usually want that, to have 5 seniors, because now you have to totally go get a whole new crew, essentially. But we went heavy after high-level high school kids, and that was why we were 8th in the country in our high school recruiting class. We got some really talented players that I think are going to do unbelievable things, but they're still young. They're still freshmen. I love our 2 transfers that we got, and Aaliyah Guyton from Iowa. Obviously, we had recruited her the first time around, and it came down to us in Iowa. And then Maddie Weber from Villanova. I love all the things that she brings. She's playing so well right now, even the first week. So I think we have a good mix, but we're probably going to be one of the youngest teams in the country, and as opposed to last year, one of the oldest teams in the country. So as you know, with that goes some of this, but we'll get there. There'll be some bumps in the road, but could not be more excited about the group we have.
You mentioned Aaliyah Guyton. I wanted to talk to you about her because I'm sitting here right in the Quad Cities. You know what it's like. I got Iowa fans over here, Illinois fans over here. I remember when she committed to Iowa, Jim Madsen down in Peoria texted me, and I had seen her play in high school, and he's like, Iowa is getting a real, and she is a really talented basketball player. To get someone like that, and you mentioned, to have some experience, obviously coming back from the knee injury, but to be with a young roster, that's got to help to have someone like her. And I'm sure you're thrilled to have her in orange and blue next year.
Yeah, a lot better than that black and gold. So I can say that because I'm from Iowa, so it's fun to make, the Iowa jokes now. And I grew up a Hawkeye fan, and my husband's a Hawkeye fan. So, it's just, we're so excited to have her. I understood, some of the reasons why she decided to go there in the first place. And, I said, I don't know if this makes me a bad recruiter or a good recruiter, but we have a really high success rate on getting kids the second time around after they tell us no the first time. But just that 1 year at Iowa, in Iowa, like Lisa, what she did, and Jan, obviously it's a great program and it's a winning program. So to have her in that and understand what it takes to win at a high level day in and day out, what it's like to go through a Big Ten, conference season. That experience is just so important. And she's already she's still not 100% right now, because we had to do, she had to do a little thing, just get her good to go with the knee. But man, what her leadership ability and what she's bringing to practice and how she's, just talking and what she's going to bring defensively, what she's going to bring offensively to us. She fits what we do perfectly. I believe that when she was in high school, and obviously I still believe that now. So we could not be more excited to have her and her experience and her leadership and just her will. She wants to be great. And that's a special thing to have in a young player.
Coach, I got a couple more for you. I could do this all day, so I don't want to take all your time. I know you're a busy person, but you look at injuries and Guyton coming off and injuries were so rough last year. How healthy are you guys right now? Obviously, and size wise too. You have some players on your roster that when you look 6'7", they can really make a difference in women's basketball. Where are you health wise? And then obviously size is something you can't teach, and something that you're smiling about. You can't teach 6'7".
No, and this is the biggest team we've had in our time here. This is the longest team we've had in our time here. And we'll see how that translates, because I'm not complaining, because we had KB and as our 5 player for 3 years, average a double, was a leading rebounder in the Big Ten at 6'1". So sometimes it's, size doesn't matter, but then sometimes 6'7" in there, when you have Letty down the post and able to be that presence and block shots is really, really important. And that was a goal in our recruiting, to get bigger, to get longer, even in our wing position. So really excited about that. But yeah, you're right. We got to stay healthy. We got to get healthy. Right now, we do have some people working their way back from some of these injuries. So my number, when I had to kind of change up our summer approach, our number one goal is to everyone be 100% healthy going into the fall. We still need to, it's about learning the system, fundamentals, getting our young kids to understand this summer about how to work and develop winning habits, and how, when we talk about one way in our program, getting them to understand what that looks like, of how to work consistently every day, 1 rep at a time, in the weight room, on the floor, in the classroom. So those are kind of our approach for the summer, because if we're not healthy, nothing matters. So, and we're getting there, and I really feel really good about where our kids are at. But man, that last year, that was I've never dealt with anything like that before in my career of the injuries that kept coming and coming. So hopefully that's in the past, and now good health is in the future.
You're due for good luck, Coach. Before I let you go, you played basketball, you coach basketball. I've always said, and I love where women's basketball is going and the attention that's been brought to it, especially of late. But I always tell people, like, and I mean this from covering it for 25 years, it's always been really good. It's just now it's got the attention that maybe it deserves. As someone who played basketball, as someone who coaches at an extremely high level, where is this game at? And is there something to what I say when it's always been really good? I think obviously it's getting better and better, just like every sport. But it's great to it's not just something that just snapped overnight. Women's basketball has been good for a long, long time.
I agree with you. I just think right now it's at an all-time high. The game has never been in a better place. And I really believe, I don't think it's going to go back. I really believe it's only going to go up from here. For whatever reasons, I mean, we have to, it's always been great. The college game has always been great. We've had mega stars, unbelievable, basketball players. For whatever reason, Caitlin Clark she transcended a lot of this. Like, she really, I think, took the nation and kind of captured and helped in that. Now, it's not just her, but I think you got to give her credit for a lot of this rise, and just a generational player. And obviously you're familiar with that, you guys being right there and seeing what she did. So now the WNBA, college women's basketball, I mean, look at the ratings, look at the attendance. The Final Four for women's basketball last 2 years have beat out the men. So it's exciting. It's so great for what a time to be a college, player right now. What a time to be in the league. It's just, it's so awesome to see and so deserving, long overdue, but so deserving of all these guys that, work so hard. So only up from here.
Absolutely. Coach Green, I've appreciated you doing this. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. Season tickets, I believe, go on sale next week. And there's a great fan base here in the Quad Cities. So people watching this, Coach Green's shaking her head. Come on down to Champaign. It's an easy drive, right? It's not that bad. And join them this winter. It should be a fun winter.
Yeah, anyone that hasn't been out to, State Farm Center, I just encourage you, come try it out. The product's fun. We like to get up and down and play a fun style of basketball and high level players. So yeah, if we can just continue to get more people here and continue to grow that, that's what it's all about. And I say it all the time, that's what you need to sustain a top 25 program. You need the support, you need butts in the seat in order to continue to recruit at a high level and to win at a high level. So would love to see everyone out there.
Absolutely. Now, we had Coach Bealham on recently, and he dropped an ILL when he went to leave, and I didn't respond. So and I got a lot of grief for it. So I'll give you an ILO.
I.
All right. Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on.
A lot of fun catching up with Coach Green, and of course, I got into a lot of trouble, especially from Iowa fans and Iowa friends, for doing the ILL thing. But really appreciate Shauna Green coming on to the show, and she's done great things in Champaign, and the future remains extremely bright. Well, coming up after the break, we'll turn our attention to the football side of things. The NFL right around the corner. Some teams already opening training camp, including the Detroit Lions. Their head strength and conditioning coordinator and head coach is Josh Schuler. He's from right here in the Quad Cities, a Muscatine grad, and he joined us a few months ago on the show. We'll have that interview for you and much more straight ahead on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, It's Hungry Hobo, now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo as we have a best of show today, looking back at some fun interviews we've done over the last several months. And one of my favorites, and I'm biased because I am a big Lions fan, was the Detroit Lions head strength and conditioning coach, Josh Schuler. Josh is a graduate of Muscatine High School and loves the Quad Cities, the state of Iowa, loves everything this area is about. So we got to catch up with him about the Lions, his roots here in the Quad Cities, and a lot more. We're joined now by Detroit Lions strength and conditioning coach and Muscatine product, Josh Schuler, right now on OTA. First and foremost, Josh, thank you for continuing to let me bug you and doing this. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, Matt. Just appreciate you having me on, and good to be able to spend some time with you today. So no worries at all. I thank you.
I love it. I love it. We, obviously I'm a Lions fan. We're going to get to the beloved Lions in just a little bit, but I want to talk about your journey. You are the head strength and conditioning coach with the Detroit Lions, and your roots are right here at Muscatine. Kind of talk about that growing up in the Quad Cities in Muscatine. And when you were a Muskie, did you think you would eventually be doing what you're doing now? Kind of talk about how that all developed.
Yeah, I would say, I think we all are but blessed to grow up where we did in the state of Iowa, biased, with my family and the support system we had there. Muscatine was great. John Each was our head football coach, strong man of faith, owe a lot to him. But I would say I had no idea. I love sports. Growing up, there was baseball, football, wrestling, soccer, all of it. But I don't know that I really knew that this was a profession growing up out there. And so my first time, I think, really understanding that I could do this wasn't even until I went off to Iowa State and kind of saw what they had going there.
You get to Ames and to Iowa State. Sorry, you're a Cyclone. I apologize. No, I'm kidding. Your aunt is an amazing woman. I always give her a time. But you go to Iowa State. When did it develop? And how, when you got to Ames, did you kind of start seeing maybe what you wanted to do in the future?
Yeah, and I got to put our little plug in for Iowa State. My grandma graduated from there in 47.
Okay.
And my aunt, I'll tell you, and she's one of the biggest support systems ever, but I think there's close to 30 or maybe over 30 of us now that have all gone within the family of that school. So we love it pretty good, to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, started off at Iowa State. I went into business originally, and I got through the first semester, first year, and that was not for me, not at all. And then exercise science came about and kind of started looking into that and was able to switch my majors there. And then there were three individuals. Andrew Mosier was the head strength coach for Olympic sports. Elisa Angeles, she's gone on to do great things. She's actually a strength coach with a pro soccer team out in DC now. And then Ike Hammerly, he's out of Newton. He played football at Central College, some of those. He was a GA, but they allowed me to come and work with them and volunteer as a student undergrad. And so I was able to spend a lot of time with them, learned a lot from them, and they, gave me that chance and kind of started to grow that passion and love for it there.
Yeah, you get done there. How do you get from there to Detroit and the NFL? Take me through that journey through, because it's not like you get that diploma from Iowa State and Detroit's waiting for you. Obviously, there's a process to get to the NFL. How did that develop?
Yes, sir. We had to do an undergrad, try to keep it the short snippet. For our undergrad, you had to do an internship. I was fortunate enough, I went out to University of Colorado. And then working there, the strength coaches, I had three guys out there that I was fortunate enough to work with. They had a connection with the head strength coach at Auburn University. So they helped me get from Colorado in June of 2008. I went down to Auburn, was able to become a graduate assistant there, got my master's from Auburn. After Auburn, got to go back to Colorado as a full-time assistant. So full-time assistant with football. And then at that time, you had multiple sports too. So I had golf, tennis, and then all track and field. Was there for 2 years. Then got the opportunity to go to the Naval Academy, which was a really cool blessing. Those young men and women out there, the men we got to deal with. Coach Niamatololo, I learned a lot from him. I think he's an unbelievable coach, unbelievable man, that I was blessed enough to work with them out there. Did some training for was able to train some special ops guys for a year. And then the opportunity came to go to Detroit in 2016. And that kind of came back from Colorado, where one of the assistants there, Moses Cabrera, had left after the 2010 season to go out to New England, the Patriots, to be an assistant. And then actually met my wife through him out there in New England. But I would go visit Moses in college. You have a little downtime in the May time period and trying to learn, to see what they were doing. And the head strength coach was Harold Nash at that point. And in 2016, Coach Nash came to Detroit to be the head strength coach and had given me a call and said, hey, would you be interested? And didn't even realize it was an opportunity, and sitting there and praying on it. And of course, no doubt on that, pretty excited to get that opportunity. And then we've been blessed enough, my family and I, that we've been here since 2016.
No, it's awesome. And you look at it, because I'm doing math in my head. So 2016 is the Jim Caldwell era. Is that right? So
yes, sir.
You get to Detroit and you're at the NFL level. And there's changes. And obviously the Lions have been through now a third coach since you've been there. To be able to stay there, to be able to set your roots there, what has that been like? Because that's not always easy to do, especially in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it always goes back to, I think your faith, for one. I think with anything, but in this profession, like you say, is who knows what's coming. The faith, the foundation of that, lean into that. But always, from all the coaches I've been able to be around, just been grateful all that they've gotten to teach me. I mean, Coach Caldwell, unbelievable man. I learned a lot from him. Coach Patricia, same thing. I owe a lot to that man. He gave me my first head job here in the NFL. Taught me a lot about ball as well. Thankful to those guys. And then with the opportunity, Mike Clark's our director over all our sports performance, and that when him and Coach Campbell came in, was grateful that I got to stick around with them and keep learning from them. And I think hopefully, but it goes back, I believe, to our roots, but just the way you're raised. I I hope that the way we go about things is a humbleness, a continuing wanting to learn, and all the great people that I've been fortunate enough that have been willing to teach me and continue to learn from them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You look at what you get to do now. Coach Campbell comes in, Brad Holmes, and they hit the ground running. And you talk about those roots and those Iowa roots, and we'll talk about these players a little bit more. But it's funny how he drafts Iowa players, and Iowa players get there, and his philosophy, his grit philosophy, kind of goes with Iowa, the state of Iowa, Muscatine, where you're from. Could you tell when that organization switched and that regime came in that you would have a good fit there, and they kind of fit what you like to do as a person and just like a thought process as well?
Yeah, I believe it was. I think there's a lot that goes into it. I always joke with Coach Campbell. They said he was raised on a ranch in Texas and his dad was a Marine. So I say you got a good chance right there. And then I just believe him and Brad are great men again, and they stay true to their process. They know who they are. They're consistent, all of those things. So again, to be able to work for men like that and learn from them is just unbelievable.
Okay, I got my Dan Campbell bobblehead right here. So,
Yep.
What's this dude like? What's a conversation? What's a meeting? What's seeing this dude daily like? And I kind of think what you see is what you get. What's Dan Campbell like?
I think you hit on the head. What you see, what you get. I appreciate so much about him, but there's no facade to Coach. Like, he is the truest of all. He's an unbelievable coach. He's an unbelievable man. All of that goes hand in hand for him. And just the truth of it all. And we see facades out there. We know in the industry of, hey, on camera, it might look like this and, different things, but he is who you see every day. And that has never changed. I would say, as constant as they come. Phenomenal leader. All those things go hand in hand for Coach.
Do you take? I mean, he's in good shape. You got to take credit for that, don't you? Is he in there working out, doing the things with the guys? You got to take credit for that guy too, don't you?
Heck no. He's been rolling for a long time. He's got his routine down, and all that credit goes to him. No, that's not us. That's not us, Matt.
Josh Schuler joining us right now, head strength and conditioning coach with the Detroit Lions, a Muscatine native as well. Going back when you got there with Coach Caldwell, obviously there was some success to be had. And then it kind of, it wasn't great in the Patricia era. What has it been like in recent years to be a guy that was there when things weren't great and success wasn't a lot, and to be able to be in that city? And I'm sure you consider yourself a Detroiter now. I mean, you've been there for so long. What's it been like to watch that organization and that community and the love fest there is between the two?
Yeah, like you said, I'm so happy for the city. The people of Detroit, the people of Michigan, they are passionate now. You know that. They love their Lions. To no end. It's amazing going on the road these days, how you see how many Lions fans show up at our road games, no less. And for everything they've gone through, I'm just happy for that city and those people too. It's been unbelievable to see. I think there's definitely been a resurgence. You look at the Pistons, the Tigers, everybody, the Red Wings keep pushing. So all those teams and the resurgence of the city as it's continued to grow. And that's what I think is really cool, just to see how it comes alive. But it is a passionate city. They love their sports, and it's fun. It's been really fun.
Now people are watching this and they're curious. Head strength and conditioning coach with the Detroit Lions. What does that entail? So, I mean, I don't want to sit here and have you ramble off everything you do because you do a lot, but what's the main focus and what do you have the oversight over that you want to get done in this organization?
Yeah, we have a great staff. I think Coach Clark's our director. We have Joe Costander's our director of player performance. I've got 2 assistants with me, Cam and Coach Thad, and then Jimmy is our intern. But we look at all the training aspects. I think we look at the totality of a player when it comes to how do we train them, what phase of the season we're in, whether it's running, whether it's lifting, whether it's mobility work, working with our team dietitians. You look at how do they sleeping, how are, stress levels. There's so many things that go into the performance aspect and performance model these days that you're always trying to look at all aspects. How do we help these guys better as they're becoming professionals? And the main thing, we look at those, but the training, running, lifting, all those are different in the off season than the in season. You got to look at the planning too of when can we push harder, when can we not push harder. How do you, with our in season, you've got a minimum of 20 weeks. Hopefully we get to that 24-week program. You look at the schedules when we're playing Monday night games, Sunday night games, Thursday night games. So, like say, not to go down a rabbit hole, but there's a lot of things we try to take in, and it's not just trying to get under and squat a bar every day or, touch your toes. I would say there's a lot of different things we try to look at to hopefully help those players the best we can.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. When you look at this past season, obviously, past 2 years, North Division champions, and I love to say that as loud as I can here in Bear Country. North Division, back-to-back North Division champions. I mean, they swept the Bears, they swept the Packers, they swept the Vikings. All right, I'm done. I'll get out of my system. But the success has been there, and this past season, obviously 15-2 and a ton of success, but they did it. You guys did it through a lot of adversity when it came to unfortunate injuries and those kind of things. And when you look at it, there's nothing you can do about seeing a leg snap for Aiden Hutchinson and those kind of things. What was this past season like? And I know it had to be, fulfilling on the field, but frustrating at times as well, because, as a Lions fan, I felt it. It seemed like every week there was somebody else getting dinged up and getting beat up.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to starting with coach and the culture that he's built with the team and all those coaches. I think Aaron Glenn didn't get enough credit, Ben Johnson, all those guys, what Aaron Glenn, Coach AG did over the years. But I also mean it goes back to, I may be off the cuff on this, but I think sometimes as strength coaches, we think we're more important than we are too. I think we're there to help guys. Hopefully you're in the background. You're here to help those young men. Like I said, there's stuff we can't control. And then I'm going to go back to my faith on that, where no doubt it was frustrating. You want to help these young men. I think the worst part is seeing stuff that they're trying to achieve that they can't when those injuries come into play. But again, going back to the Lord's got it. Everything, is in his plan, and we'll see how it goes and see how things happen. And I think you learn from those situations too. Always looking inward as well, though. What can we do better? Learning from guys over the years. I think we don't learn when everything is easy. I do think we learn a lot more when things are hard and how we navigate situations, but just trying to keep it all in cycle with not letting it get too big. What are the main things? But again, I give all the credit to Coach and Brad and them and the culture they built in our players, how hard they play. That's all the credit goes to all of them.
You're there in Detroit now in the middle of an off-season regiment routine. Just last week, just a few days ago, Aiden Hutchinson spoke to the media for the first time. How nice is it to see? And he said, he goes, I'm clear. I got nothing. How nice is it to see that dude running around a football field again? And what was that like? Because obviously you've gotten to know him well, and that's a guy who lives it, breathes it. And to see that happen to him, first off, what's it like to have him back out there running around? And then watching him go through that had to be difficult as well.
Yeah, no doubt. You feel for him. He is a high energy, high level guy to the max. His effort never comes down. He is humming at all points. So you felt terrible for him, the injury he was having, but he attacked everything like a professional. And then no doubt for our team to have him back and the leadership he brings, all those things, it's going to be a great thing to have him back and hopefully just keep him rolling.
How's he look, and has he missed a beat?
Yeah, he looks great. I think he's been great for us. He is detailed in all aspects and just continues to grow each and every day.
We talked about the Iowa connection. I want to talk to you about two of the Iowa guys there. Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, both coming in the same class. And that kind of Coach Ferentz, culture seems to fit with the Detroit Lions MCDC culture. How have they fit in just to that program? Not just as players. Obviously, we see the talent that they have, but it seems like work ethic, guys, dudes, people who they are fit with what Detroit likes right now.
No question. They're both great young men, to say the least, and great players as well. But I would say they attack that every day with a professionalism about them, how they approach everything they do. I think they're leaders on and off the field. And that definite, I respect the heck. I don't know Coach Ferentz, but I respect always what he's done there. You look at what he's done over his years there. I think it's unbelievable. And the players that he's come out of there, the young men that have come out of that program. So I would say these two fit that to a T from what I know, is on the outside of it. But really enjoy them more than you know, and pretty cool that get to work with them and be around those two.
And now David Montgomery, the Iowa State guy, is with the Lions as well. You're an Iowa State guy. I don't want to bring up bad things for Hawkeye fans that are listening, but I believe the Cy-Hawk game went the way of the Cyclones last year. Do you make sure you remind Sam and Jack about that maybe the week after, the day after, those kind of things?
I'll be honest, Matt, I don't get too big into it anymore. Maybe I should.
Especially when you win.
Yeah, I feel, we've taken our licks over the years and all that. And again, David's unbelievable. You want to talk about him, a strong individual, the way he works, just all of it. That he is a true blessing, I would say. But I stay pretty low key on it these days. We're around it so much as it is that football, we're just in the day to day, and you kind of take it in, but I don't get too fired up about it.
No, I got you. A few more for Josh Schuler before we let him go. This team the last couple of years have been so successful and so much fun. Has there been a moment that you can sit back, a game, a win that you've relished the most or enjoyed the most, or sat back and looked at Ford Field and been like, wow, I've seen this place not empty, but not fired up, and now here we are now. What has this last 2 years been like, and has there been a moment or two that kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, I think, man, it might have been the end of year 2 with Coach Campbell, but that win at Green Bay at the end of the year, just, again, I thought the way our guys fought, knowing that we wouldn't make it either way, but just coming out and how they played hard. And then, that first playoff game in 2024 there, when it was the first, and I don't think I even realized at the time, but the first playoff win ever at Ford Field against the Rams, and the place was rocking. But I think just to really be able to do that and see when you have a true belief and a group of guys come together, what they can achieve, and just taking that in, and the crowd there, gosh, I do feel our stadium gets rocking pretty good. It was always good, but I think it's on a whole nother level right now with where things have come from. And just be able to sit in there and kind of take it in. My folks were at that game. You owe so much to your parents for all that they've done over the years. My wife being at that game, wouldn't be able to do what I do without her. And just taking those things in, trying to keep things simple, if you know what I mean, and the blessings that come with it. But those are a couple of special ones, I believe, over the years.
Gotcha. Last couple before we let you go. The season didn't end the way the way that I wanted. It's the way you wanted to last year for the Lions. And as a longtime Lions fan, like I just enjoyed the heck out of it because I remember 0-16. My kids were heartbroken and I was okay. 15-2 and a loss in the playoffs. I mean, things have been worse, but I know that didn't sit well with those guys up there, and Coach Campbell and Brad and all those guys are continuing to work hard. What's the vibe right now during the off season? Because everybody gets better in the division, in the league, and the Lions are there, and they're so talented, and now they're almost overlooked a little bit in my eyes because they've been good for a little while. What's the mood like in Detroit? And I know they're probably just as hungry as ever to continue what they've been doing.
Yeah, I think it's a steady, constant just approach to get better. I do believe that. Our guys have shown up great in the offseason. They're working hard. Just take it a day at a time and be consistent. And I think that's where we're at. Hungry, no question. But just take it a day at a time. Make sure we're consistent with how we approach everything and continue to just keep building so we can get ready for another one, hopefully.
Gotcha. Last one for you. I want to bring back to Muscatine before I let you go because that is where you're from. And I know you're in Detroit now. Love Michigan, love Detroit, but I know family and a lot of loved ones still in the Quad Cities as well. How proud are you to be from Muscatine and from the Quad City area and what your roots are here back home?
I'm so proud wouldn't even be the right word, I think, to even come to there. I think I love that state. I love the way I was raised there. The family farm that's in DeWitt there, Muscatine. I think you learn so much from a lot of that stuff of what makes us today. I don't think I would be even close to who I am today without being able to be raised there, being raised the way I was. I think you have hardworking people to the most. I think you've got humble people, the kindness level, all those things. So I miss Iowa. I miss the heck out of it. We love Detroit, thankful and all that. But my favorite place in the world is when we get to go back to Iowa. I enjoy the heck out of it. Now we get to take our children back and them get to experience some of those things. So I love that state, Matt, more than anybody knows.
I love it. I love to hear that. You mentioned your wife, but you got the kids, young kids, the wife, and we talked before we started how behind every good man, there's a better woman and all that kind of stuff. I don't even know if I'm a good man, but my wife's a rock star. And I think you would say the same with your wife. How important is that? Because the job that you do and the business you're in the NFL, you have to have that support system behind you. And I can only imagine she's a rock star as well.
Yeah, Jackie's amazing. I'm not even doing this without her. She loves football. I'm going to give a fun fact. She has a Super Bowl ring because she was the team reporter for the Patriots in 2014 when they won it.
Oh, wow.
So let's just say she knows a little bit about ball. She can keep me going. But, with your wife, she does so much. Our season gets grinding. The fact that the way she raises our children, I'm blessed enough for that. The support system she is. I would say instead she gave up her career to be able to do what we're doing now, and she's okay with it. So that is she's been probably the biggest blessing ever for me of my life. And, they're amazing. They are, and couldn't do it without them.
Can you do me a favor and match her with Super Bowl rings? Maybe beat her with Super Bowl rings and get a couple? Let's just do one first, all right? Let's not get jealous. Let's get one out of the way, and then we'll work on multiple. Do you have a craziest aunt? Like, if you thought in your mind, like, what aunts of mine is the wildest and the craziest, who would it be?
Well, Deanne Bloomberg. But I put crazy with, if there were nephews out there, and I will put it up against anybody, you'd be lucky to have an aunt like that. And she is like another mom for all of us. Her support system and the way she supports all of us, there's 14 of us nieces and nephews on that side with now our children and that. Her passion for the farming community, I think everyone would say, is the way she supports people and her heart is unbelievable. And Yeah, Deanne she is number one, no doubt.
You'd be surprised, Josh. I mean, like the text messaging we do during games, and she's like, "Are you nervous? I can't watch." I mean, it's so awesome in this area. There's very few Lions fans, and so to have one, and not just to have another Lions fan, but you mentioned it. She's back at WQOD when I was there. We had her on as a guest griller, and she's a rock star. She's charismatic. She's fun. Everything she does with a smile on her face. So yeah, that's a pretty cool aunt to have. So Josh, I appreciate you doing this. Obviously I'm biased. I'm super proud because I am a Lions fan as well, but love watching Quad City people do big things. And I know you're a modest guy and you may not consider it big things, but to do what you're doing in the NFL is awesome. We love the way you love Iowa. I want to thank you as well. Last year, you helped support my dad's golf outing as well. I'm going to bug you about it after we get done recording this as well. But you're awesome. I appreciate it. I've never met you in person, but I feel like you're a good friend. So best of luck, and we'll talk maybe after a Super Bowl or two later on, if that works.
That'd be great. No, thank you for everything and everything you do back there, Matt. Appreciate you.
Man, am I excited for Detroit Lions football this year. It should be a great season in the NFL. We wish Josh Schuler and the beloved Detroit Lions a lot of success this upcoming season. Up next, we'll relive our chat with Thom Cornelis. That and much more straight ahead on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves.
Hey, Quad Cities, what's better than Saturday Night IFL football? Saturday Night IFL football with dollar beers. Join us Saturday, July 26th for Fan Appreciation Night as your Steamwheelers take on Tulsa in the regular season finale. This night's got everything. Hard-hitting action, cold beer for a buck, and the wildest crowd in the IFL. Bring your friends, your thirst, and your loudest voice. This one's for the fans. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets. Brought to you by Bally's Casino.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities as we continue to look back at some of the best moments over the last couple months right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And one guy that I grew up watching right here in the Quad Cities was the one and only Thom Cornelis. So it was an honor that a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, a week and a half or a month and a half ago, TC made the trip out to the Randazzo estate and joined me on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Watching each and every night on TV. And I don't know, and I'm old, TC, and I grew up watching. So
I remember
the one and only Thom Cornelis waded his way through my kids and the mess that is my house, and joining me in the dog yelling, screaming at him. Yeah. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for asking me. You talk about, I remember your days as an intern at St. Ambrose.
Yes.
You were poking your nose around Channel 6 back then, and then
yes,
with with Fungo Joe Foley and Dan Burrich and,
It's
and Corey, and all these guys are in the business now. So that's
great. No, it's crazy. And it's cool because you did come do the guest griller this past season. And I kind of mentioned to you in passing, like, TC, I don't know how much longer I have in doing this. And I did it for 25 years. You did it for how many years total?
44 total. Yeah.
Okay. Thinking about that and going back with all that, when you hear that number, did you know when you were a young pupkin in the business that you'd be doing it for nearly a half a century?
And not in the same market, I didn't think.
Yeah.
But, we all had visions of going to either Chicago or whatever. But once you get kind of settled and when you enjoy what you're doing, where you're doing it at, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. You started at WQAD.
Correct.
Here in the Quad Cities, then made the switch over to KWQC. I want to talk to you about your WQAD days. How did you didn't go from Western right to WQAD, did you?
Pretty much.
Wow.
There was a little period in between where I was trying to sell real estate, and I was bartending out at Oakwood Country Club and lived in Chicago for a while, but I just happened to be coming back to visit my folks, and I was told there was an opening at Channel 8, and the guy said, "Can you do weather in a pinch?" And I said, "Well, at least I know where the states are, and I know how to pronounce the names."
Yeah.
And back then, it was just a 2-state map with a magic marker.
There you go.
I said, "I can fake my way through that." So
yeah.
I said, "Sure." So next thing, I was hired as a probationary employee for I don't even say how much a week, but and Jim King was my boss. And I think we had a 6-man news team at that time.
Wow. When did you realize that it was just, might as well give it, do it? And then when did you finally realize, hey, this is taking some footing and like things are going well and this is something I can do for 44 years?
Yeah. Well, the first 2 years at Channel 8, I was doing news. I was a beat reporter on the Iowa side.
Did you like that or did you hate it?
I did.
I tell people all the time, because I feel like, be careful with this. I feel like I know sports. I know some of you don't think I do, but I feel like, and I felt like if I could explain a news story to somebody, then I was good because I didn't understand a lot of them. I had to learn it. And then if I could do it, that was simplifying it. Plus it was storytelling too. And those kind of things. I thought it helped me. You didn't hate it.
No, every day. My beat was the Iowa side of the river, so you'd stop into the police departments every day, the mayor's office. Mayor Kirschbaum and I got to be pretty good friends. But my first real hard story, unfortunately, was, I don't know if you go back, was the Shamrock Tavern murders in Davenport.
I've heard of them.
That was a big.
What year
story.
was that?
That had to be 72, 73.
Okay. I've heard of it, but I was -7.
Yeah.
So
It was a little old tavern on Iowa Street. A bunch of guys playing cards, and 3 teenagers from Rock Island came over and tried to rob him and shot him.
Ugh.
And that was a huge story at that time. Let me tell you.
So what got you from you always wanted to do sports, right?
I always wanted to do sports, and I was doing weekend sports for a while, or a pinch. They had a guy named Bob Wilford. I don't know if you remember that name. Was doing sports, and then he left, and I said I'd like the full-time job. And our general manager at the time, his name was Art Swift. He pulls out a desk drawer and he says, "See all these applications? I can take any one, but we want you to keep doing what you're doing." So they brought over a guy from Channel 6 named Mike Berry. He lasted like 6 months. He didn't like it. And then finally I said,
So you, and this is fascinating to me because I got stories too, but it wasn't like, you were told no before.
I was told no.
That's what people don't like. I was told by a news director one time that, and I won't say names, that I needed to learn to do, news because they were going to get rid of sports. Mm-hmm. And that I was never going to be on. I got told, I had a news director literally get a marker out and color, told me I need to grow my hair out. And he colored in between my head and my ears and said, "See, if you grow it out, your ears won't be as big as they normally are." And I didn't get a job. And then I'd watch the next person come in and go, "I think I could do this better." So that's kind of the same thing with you too.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't tell you how many news directors said, there'll be no sports here next year.
Yeah.
And but of course I had hair back when I started, so I mean I didn't have to worry about that. But no, it's business change. You know, you learn. We were learning on Bell and Howell film cameras, and now look what is all computerized and discs. And
TC, I always tell people, like, I wish Dan Burch could see what it's like with having a laptop and clicking a button and sending stuff instead of having to get the live truck or the satellite truck and all those kind of things. That was
running the videotape to an airplane and giving it, and so it'd get back in time for the 10 o'clock. You know, we did that from Chicago a lot.
So you got your footing at WQAD and obviously you got in. Once you got your foot in the door, isn't it one of those things? And that's the way I felt. Where once I got the opportunity, I had to make the most of it and like run with it. And obviously you ran for a long time. Mm-hmm. You got your foot in the door, and then things went well. Obviously after that,
they did, and I enjoyed my time at Channel 8. It was great. They had a couple ownership changes. The Des Moines Register bought the station for a while, which was really good because they were news guys.
Yeah.
And the guys they sent to run the station, they didn't act like they knew. They didn't want to show how smart they were in television. They asked us questions.
Oh, really?
Which was so refreshing.
Yeah.
We had news guys actually asking, "Oh, you guys know what you're doing. You tell us."
Yeah.
So, but when that got sold, a different ownership group came in, and I didn't like kind of the direction it was going. And a guy named Ken McQueen, that was general manager over at then WOC, said, "Let's get together for breakfast." He had been in New York, and he says, "Yeah, you got any paper on you?" I says, "Paper?" He goes, "Contract. Got a contract?" I said, "Nobody had contracts."
Oh, I was just going to ask you, like, was it a big? So did you just sign off at one station? So what year was this?
84.
Okay. So did you just sign off on one station and then appear on the other one on Monday?
Pretty much.
Wow.
And there was no.
That's the way it should be.
Well, now they.
Oh, no.
They called it the Cornelis clause because now they sign a non-compete.
Oh, is that so? You're the reason for that?
Yep.
You son of a. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Not that I want to go anywhere else or anything like that.
But
but
at least, I think you had to stay at least a year before you went to a competitor.
Yeah.
But back then there were these general managers had a gentleman's agreement. They didn't poach each other's talent.
Yeah.
Until Ken McQueen came.
Wow.
And he liked the idea of that. So.
And was it something that was it difficult for you at all, or were you good?
It was at first because we were competitors for a while. And the main hook McQueen gave me was you'll have a better chance to do the Iowa games on TV if you're an NBC station. Because back then all the NBC stations were together.
That's what I grew up watching.
So that was probably made it happen. But I was welcomed right away. Don Ryan and those guys were over there. We knew each other through various social and athletic get-togethers anyway. So, no, it was a pretty smooth transition, actually.
It's funny, TC, because I'll talk about and I've talked with my wife and others about, like, maybe the glory days that I had. And I at one point a few years ago, Corey's fantastic. Celia and Camille were awesome. Greg Armstrong was over there for a while. He was awesome. Dan Pearson was shooting for us. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is as good as I'm going to get it. I look back at what you guys had at KWQC, and I'm growing up watching it. And wouldn't you agree that's the height of local news when you had
I think so.
Terry, yourself, Paula, you name it, like that had to be the height of where the TV news business was. And that's not bashing it today. It's just not and it wasn't when I was there. You guys lived in the heyday of it, didn't you?
Well, yeah. And to get a job at our station, any of the stations back then, you usually had to work somewhere else first. You had to have some experience, and now that's not the case. But everyone was seasoned, and we got a great camaraderie. We got along great. And there's only 2 times where a news director actually let me hire my assistant.
Okay.
My weekend guys. Once at Channel 8, a guy named Marty Kiebrick.
Okay.
If you remember that name.
Yep.
He was part of the Chris Minor deal. It was a package deal from Terre Haute or something.
Was it like a player to be named later and thrown in or something like that?
Yeah. And then when I was at 6, I made the great hire to Dan Pearson. And we were together 25 years.
You didn't have another one to have to hire. Did you have anything to do with because you had 30 for a long time and then you didn't for a few years? I was always at 8 saying to our people, they have 3 over there. Like, how are we going to cover when we finally got to 3? But it was
was
tough.
hard getting the third one.
Oh, I mean, I was
2.5.
Yeah, I was.
Two and a
Yeah,
half.
I was the third one with Burrich, and like I had to work my way up and do news and do all those kind of things. Obviously Pearson a great hire, but did you have any say in like the other ones, or was that just news directors?
They would, yeah. Well, the news director would say, "What do you think of this guy?" But
it wasn't your hire.
It wasn't mine.
Yeah. Talk about that dynamic with Dan Pearson, because I told Dan, he was in here a couple weeks ago, and I said, like, when I got rolling doing it, and even when Corey came over, like, I felt like we were doing good, and I'm young and I'm dumb, and I'm like, I remember my story is Vic Boblet. Vic was always very nice to me. And like one day I came in, I always respected being there before practice, after practice, that kind of stuff. And he shook my hand and was like, "Hey, appreciate you being here." And I'm walking away going, he likes me. I'm like, I'm making a good, like, I'm building relationships. And then Pearson showed up and went over and gave Vic a hug. And that was, I was always told Corey, is like, as much as we feel like we have good relationships, and we did, like, you guys were so deep because of the years you had done it. Dan and yourself established so many good relationships, and that's the key, isn't it?
Well, we both had the same philosophy that we can give the viewer something they can't get anywhere else. It's local sports. You know, they can watch Cub highlights and they can do the pro highlights, you know, fine if we get them, but local, regional with Iowa and Illinois, and that's where we put our emphasis on, and that's how the highlight zone was born. And I always told Dan, I said, "You're not going to make it in this business, Dan. You're too nice. You're just too nice a guy." And he proved me wrong.
He did okay. And you're right. When he was on here, he taught me that, like, and we are competitive, but like, and I wasn't competitive with Dan because I never beat him. You have to beat him. But like, he loaned me a battery one time. I'm just like, he was the one who taught me that, yeah, we're competing, but we're all in the same boat. What's your favorite, like, boy, this is, with 44 years, it's hard. Do you have a favorite moment, favorite moments, favorite stories or events covered? There's probably a million of them, but what popped to your head, like, off the bat?
I'd say one of the most unique things we did, I think it was 76, our general manager at the time, Art Swift, wanted to go to the Winter Olympics in Innsbruck.
Oh, wow.
Austria. Back then, we were an ABC station, and ABC was covering the Olympics. So he put together a junket, maybe like 30 people, and I was the reason. He kind of used me as an excuse for him to go. So I'm just there by myself with a camera.
Oh, wow.
But that was a unique experience. I saw, Franz Klammer and the U.S. hockey team getting a big fight with West Germany one night downtown. But just the scene, every day you open your hotel room and you expect to see Julie Andrews out there on in the mountains. And and then I think the first time Iowa went to the Rose Bowl under Hayden Fry was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and that was 82?
81.
81? Yeah. I was going to mention, like, bowl games, I'm sure, a lot of bowl games, Rose Bowl, and NCAA tournaments, I'm sure.
NCAA, with Lute, and 1980, I think it was. They made the Final Four.
Okay, yeah.
And if Ronnie Hart wouldn't have got hurt, they might have. And that was that last little nugget. That was the last year they played a third place game. Iowa played Purdue in the third place game.
Oh, no kidding.
They had Joe Barry Carroll.
Okay.
And after that, they did away with it.
Pro sports here in the Quad Cities, you've seen it all. Do you have? And I group in the Gender Classic. I group in the Bix. Obviously, you've done the. Did you do the Bix this last year?
Not last year, no.
Okay, but forever you had. And the fun stories I get from TC are the old golf stories, because I lived it for a quarter century of like those experiences. Is there what stands out when it comes to that kind of stuff? Are you JDC, Bix, those kind of stories?
Well, I did the Bix for like 40 years, and then Ed Frolics has announced both of our retirement at the same time, and then he went back. I said, "Well, thanks for retiring for me, Ed. That's pretty good." But we started the highlight show. Ed McMahon was
for the golf
in '76, and they actually would come on the air live with us. Here's Ed McMahon going from Tonight Show to our little show. at Channel 8. Fuzzy Zeller was one of my first guests, Gary McCord. And back then, the players loved it because they didn't have to worry about, they had fun.
Yeah.
They weren't worrying about Twitter, Facebook, being seen, doing what. They had fun, and they mixed with the fans, and it was a lot more fun
I bet.
back then. And you never knew really what was coming on.
I went screaming and kicking to the social media stuff, and I was younger, but I was like, and you have to, and eventually you evolve. What was all that like? Because I mean, we talk about like, probably for you it was like the website was, because for the longest time it was like, no, they'd be like, hey, you got to get to the website first. I'm like, no, I'm on the TV's most important. So it was the website was the most, and then for a while after that it was like social media over at WQAD, and you were in the business at this time. We had a screen in the newsroom that tracked everybody's social media and who was getting the most Facebook this and Twitter's that's and all that kind of stuff. Was that good, bad, and different, do you think?
Well, I'm old school.
You have a flip phone, so.
I did not, yes, I do. I did not, I always thought there was, putting that, how many likes you got, how many times you're on there ahead of actually going out and getting the story, getting the news, And when you're only a 2.5 man band, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I know I drove the late Fran Riley drove him nuts.
Oh, I bet
he hated that. He said they want to know where I'm at all the time. Do this and do that, and so I saw the way that was going, and it kind of hastened my decision when I was going to retire.
Yeah.
I said, we'll let the social media go.
I want to ask you. I've always wanted to ask you this, and I haven't. But one of my biggest memories growing up, and as an Iowa fan was impactful, was when Chris Street passed away.
Oh, yeah.
So we had just gotten a TV in our room. My brother and I shared a room, and we were going to bed, and we turned on the news, and you were off the top talking about Chris Street passing away. I'll always remember that was how I found out about it. I didn't sleep that night at all. Can you talk about that evening, how all it went down when you found out about it, those kind of things?
That was probably one of the toughest nights I've ever had on the air because, we knew Chris.
Yeah.
And we just had media day the day before.
Wow.
And talked to him. And, back then, before the game, they always went to the Highlander for a team dinner. And apparently it was a cold, snowy night. He pulled out on the Highway 6 there and got hit by a snowplow. Yeah. And we got the word, George Wine was the sports director then, and Phil Hattie called us and told us about it, and boy, that was.
Yeah.
And then having to go up the next day for player reactions.
Oh.
And Tom Davis was devastated. And
did you cover the funeral? How did you guys do that back then?
It was kind of a combination sports news.
Yeah, but it was,
effort.
I mean, obviously it was covered. That's the weird part for me because that's why I like sports. Some of the funky stuff that happened, and we won't get into this, but I remember being in the newsroom when the Pierre Pierce stuff was going on. And it's just like those type of things, they'd come over to sports and I'd be like, it's just, I'm here to cover the game, not those kind of things, but you have to. So were you up there for the funeral covering it or as a
we're covering it. Yeah, you had to kind of separate yourself from the personal since you knew the young man. But that was a tough day in Iowa history. Let me tell you.
Do you have your favorite athletes? Like if people ask me, I'm like, just off the top of my head, I'm like Chase and Randall's one of my guys. Pat Anger and I have become very good friends, unfortunately. But like there's guys that I've always kept up with, and not just the big names. Liz Watkins from Rock Ridge Softball, dear friend of mine. So. And not just, but people you enjoyed covering, and they don't have to be friends to this day. But who are those athletes that you loved covering and loved being around?
I'd say Roger Craig comes to mind. What a classy act, and why he's not in the Hall of Fame is beyond.
Preach.
I still can't figure that out. Hopefully, and I told Roger, we became friends through the years, and I said, when you make it, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll probably be on a walker, but we're gonna do it. Guys like Fuzzy Zeller and I, Gary McCord, stayed close. We still, talk to each other now and then, and even Ed McMahon when he was alive would call up, and say, "Hey DC, how you doing?"
Oh, that's great.
So those kind of stuff you remember a long time.
Yeah, and those are there's perks to the gig too, and I
Tom
love
Davis
covering
and Hayden. Through the years you get to know them,
Yeah.
And and Hayden, hey, Tommy, we're going to scratch word issues today.
Kirk's like that, and like he was on the show, and my sons were like, "Hey, do you know Kirk?" I'm like, "Yeah." After you cover somebody for 20-some years,
Sure.
you get to know them and respect them and all those kind of things as well. Is there anything in the business that you didn't get to cover that you're like, "Man, I wish I would have," or "I wish I got"? You kind of mentioned like you wish you'd seen Roger Craig get in the Hall of Fame, but is there anything that like I'm assuming in 44 years you checked a lot of boxes? Is there anything you feel like you
Well, a
missed
lot
out?
of it, you had to be innovative because I knew, case in point, when Tom Davis's last year and they made the final 8 and it was in Denver, and when you cover the NCAA, you got to start from the beginning. You can't just jump on the train.
Yeah.
But that's literally what I did because our news director at the time said, we can't afford to fly you to Denver and the hotel and everything. So I looked up the train from Galesburg. There was a ski trip to Denver, ski train. For $1.69, you could get a round trip ticket to Denver.
No kidding.
So me and a photographer got 2 tickets. We drove all night. Got into there in time for the 10 o'clock news conference and everything. And Keith Murphy he calls me Night Train to this day because from WHO in Des Moines.
Yeah.
He says, "Yeah, the night train just got pulled in."
Unreal.
But I said, if we don't cover it, I don't feel like I'm doing my job. We had to be there.
Is that the biggest misconception? I always feel like people are like, "Oh, you're in TV. It was glamorous and nice." And like, I feel like in my times, it wasn't at all. Was it ever glamorous and nice?
I wouldn't say glamorous because, we were our own photographers.
Yeah.
We're lugging all the gear. We're not pretty rare when you had a photographer go with you.
Yeah.
So you're doing it all yourself and making sure it's back on the air. We couldn't go through computers back then. We had to somehow figure out, even covering in a Cub spring training through the years, we'd film our stuff at the ballpark and then had to drive down to downtown Phoenix, go up on the roof for the satellite and do a live shot to get it back here.
Yeah.
And that's a long day after all.
Tell me about it. What are your thoughts? And I don't want to bash or like be mean to, but what are your thoughts on local TV now? And not just TV, but I'm bummed about the newspaper. Like, and it is what it is. And like, it's not like Tom Johnston's doing a fantastic job. I think there's like 2 people over there nowadays and that's it. Maybe.
I think that's it was just him.
Yeah. And so like, it's not what it used to be. And I remember getting up every morning and watching and getting the newspaper. And then I remember getting the newspaper in the afternoon because the Dispatch Argus came out in the afternoon. So you'd get in the afternoon and it's not what it was. Your thoughts on just like local sports coverage and all that, not sports, but just TV in general. Cause I love the guys doing it. I know the hurdles that are there, the hurdles that are there at times too, but just in general, watching it evolve, good and bad. There's a lot of good that's going on too.
Well, I to be honest with you, I watch the sports. Because I know all of you guys for one thing, but I know you're doing what you can with what you got.
Yeah.
Now the news is a whole nother ballgame. Like we said, we used to have more experienced people.
Yeah.
On the air, and right now we don't, and you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell if it's somebody's first job or maybe 1.5 or whatever. So they're having their growing pains on the air, and you have to grow with them.
I think that's the thing too, is back in your day, and we had it a little bit at WQAD. I remember a news director saying to me, like, "You're going to be here for a while. Zahara's going to be here for a while. Jason Fechner, we want around for a while." I think Denise was there at the time. Like, they want that continuity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you guys did at KWQC for so long. You knew the 4 people you saw up there. You guys how long were you guys together? How long were you, Paula, and I guess Terry together? Would that be the longest working one?
And Don Ryan. I'd say 25 years at least.
Yeah, that's unheard of today.
Yeah.
Like, if you get 3
12 years with Jim King, I said I worked 12 years for Jim King and 25 with Don Ryan. That should qualify for a Hall of Fame for something.
Right?
And I won't say what, but that's
or heaven. It may qualify you to go to heaven, or the opposite, maybe. Who knows?
And they were great guys, and they were mentors. They were newsmen, solid newsmen, and they cared about the product.
I was just going to ask you, who are your mentors? Like, if people say to me, it's like Dan Burch, Dan Pearson, yourself, like those are the people I looked up to, learn from, those kind of stuff. Who are your mentors as you got in doing it?
Well, Jim King, of course, was the first, but and in a way, I probably got in the business because of Don Sharp.
Yeah.
Don was 10 or 11 years older than me, but he was doing my games in high school on the radio.
Yeah.
And I used to hear that. And they had a guy, Ken Buell at WQA back at the time, was, 2 local stations doing high school games.
Yeah.
And vying for the rights to do it. And now, poor guy,
I know.
Mark Gellerman, may he rest in peace, he was doing it all by himself there for a while. Now it was streamed or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not tech enough to get that. But so those were the days, and I always say, Don did such a good job, and he was such a pro, and I said, I think I want to do that. And he gave me some tips what to do when I got to college.
Did you have a rival? I don't mean that in a negative way.
No, I think when I was at 8, the guys at 6 were rivals because we were.
Yeah.
It was a ratings.
Chasing
ratings. The news people were more than we were.
Yeah.
But they had a guy named Thom Cornelis was in there, Mark Kincannon, who I replaced, and there was pretty good rivalry. Don and I always got along. We played golf together.
Yeah.
And I never considered Don a rival. And then he went to news for a while.
Yeah.
So I wasn't up against Don.
I remember people telling me that he would be calling a Rocky game and barely make it back. He would do the show then.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild to me. And he'd make it back just in time. And there were some times that he'd be like, I don't know if he's going to make it and all that. But those kind of things. That was always.
But you got to have a good second banana putting the show together for you. Because you're doing the Rocky game.
No,
and
absolutely.
I did the Rocky games on the radio for maybe 5-6 years with Ricky Keys.
Yeah.
And Mark Gellerman, and I enjoyed that. The post game rants with Duncan Reed were always exciting.
All right, because you're almost reading my mind here. I was just going to ask you about coaches because you mentioned Hayden Fry earlier, and I've become great friends with so many coaches in the area to this day. Coaches that you respected, you enjoyed. You have to have a Duncan Reed story.
Oh, well, I got plenty, but
it's YouTube. You can do a little. You can be a little more edgy.
One of my favorites, Duncan, is story. Well, there's 2 of them. He got kicked out of the game. I think it was at Quincy. He went up in the perch up there with a walkie-talkie and was talking to his assistant on the and the officials saw him up there.
Oh, wow.
So we did a thing the next day on the news that I was on a walkie-talkie and he was but he liked doing stuff like that.
Yeah, he liked poking the bear a little bit.
And down at Quincy one time after a tough game, I think Larry Moore hit they weren't even 3-pointers then, but he hit a bunch of shots from out. And Duncan goes, we just didn't identify the shooter. I said, well, Duncan, I identify. He's wearing 25. You can't miss him. I thought he was going to throw me off the balcony.
We did Hoop Central, and we did an entire year where we had to get a guest host. It was myself. I was by myself, and I had Duncan come in. And I met Duncan as an intern. And so I go to Blackhawk. He was retired at the time, Blackhawk State Bank. And I'm like meeting with him. I'm like, hey, I remember Steve Smithers said to me, like, you're going to have Duncan Reed on live TV. Do you think that's a good idea? And I was like, ugh. So I went to him and I said, hey, it's live TV. So you can't curse and all that kind of stuff. And I think he cursed in his answer. But I didn't have him reading highlights. Some people that came in read, I think Don Sharp even did it. And he came in, of course, you're going to have Don Sharp read a highlight, of course. And I didn't have him. I said, I just want you to kind of critique. And he did. There was a Galesburg player, had long hair. And he's like, he'd cut his hair if he was on my team, those kind of stuff. So I said to him, I don't know if I've told you this story before. I probably told you on here. But my wife was my fiance at the time. So that shows how long ago it is. I've been married for a little bit of years. So I should know off the top of my head. But and I said, hey, I need you to thank my fiance. We're going to go to break. Thank her for doing the scores. She comes in and gets the scores every week. He goes, oh, how will I know? I go, you'll know. I'll make it obvious. So I did. I made it obvious. And if this was the set, Jen's off the set. And I look at him. He goes, oh, where's Jennifer? Where's Jennifer? And like she sees her and he goes, Jennifer, come here. And he goes, come here. He stands up, live TV, goes off set, grabs her, brings her back up on set and goes, this is Matt's fiance, Jennifer. And we're both really happy that he finally decided to start seeing girls.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
he was on the edge.
I just looked at him. I looked at him. I looked at the camera. I go, we'll be right back. And then we get to the break and he's laughing his butt off. And it was, you know what? Everybody thought it was funny. I didn't care. I had a beautiful fiance. It was fine with me, but he was something.
We had so many great coaches and characters back then.
Yeah.
With Cliff Talley at East Moline and Herb Thompson at Moline. And they were all classy guys. And Don Morris, of course, who I played for. He was much nicer after I got out than when I was there. But across the river, Dave Wessel, Don Grensing, and Jim Fox, Jack Lebo, those football coaches that had Central when Roger Craig was playing.
Yeah,
what a bunch they were. They couldn't survive today.
No,
with the scrutiny.
Like I say, people and Dan's been on the show several times, but Birch couldn't survive today.
No, he couldn't.
Like he'd last 17 seconds in the newsroom and then he'd be done. And that's I always tell Dan, I'm like, you taught me a lot. You taught me a ton of good things. You taught me some things that probably got me in trouble as well, but that's okay. I want to talk to you about radio before I let you go.
Sure.
Because you got to do the K-Jock stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the beauty thing, TC. We now have to stop for weather. There's nobody telling me that there's no wraps here. There's no
weather guys are the curse of sports guys.
No, and I love James Zahara. He's one of my favorite people, but yeah. And he was always good.
It's the consultants who say we need 4 doses of weather in a half-hour news block instead of
4 is the first half hour or half of the show.
Well, there's first weather, there's warm-up weather, there's the weather, and there's post-weather.
That's crazy. Did you enjoy the K-Jock days? And
I did.
Did you do some WOC too? Did you 1420 at all?
Occasionally when Jim Fisher needed a break.
Okay.
I did it.
The K-Jock days. And I always tell people that's why I started wanting to do sports is because I listened to Birch on K-Jock. You had a show on K-Jock. What was it about that you enjoyed the most?
Well, I think you heard from a lot of interesting people who were, didn't want to be on camera, but they loved talking on the radio.
Yeah.
Because they weren't seen.
Yeah.
And, you had your regulars.
Yeah.
Daryl and Glenn Cook and guys would call in. I'd try to schedule some guests. Randy Hundley was on. Gene Oliver.
Yeah.
He'd love a mic in front of his face, whether it was TV or not. And so you had more freedom. You weren't confined to 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you are on TV. And, we're filling 2 hours.
Yeah.
In the morning. But it made for a long day, though, doing that in the morning and then going in.
I can't.
Your full job the next day, but I had 3 kids in college, and I needed the money.
There you go. Well, that's what I tell people all the time. Like, oh, you only have to work from 10 to noon. I'm like, no, because when the show gets done, I'm like, crap, I got to do it again tomorrow, and I got to figure out who's doing. Believe it or not, there's no engineers or producers or anything else doing this. It's kind of on its own thing. So, but it's been fun doing this, and I love the radio stuff. When I got into college, it was like I want to do radio. And then eventually they said to me, you're too good looking. No, they didn't say that at all. But they knew radio, where it was going and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so
that's sad, too, the way radio and the newspaper business is condensed so much.
Yeah. And, well, the thing, too, is, and I'm not promoting this venue, but I kind of am, but sure. Greg Armstrong did the View from the West stuff, and that the coverage of high school football that he does on that show is awesome. And I'm a podcast guy. I just get in my car and that's how I consume it and all those kind of things as well. So again, it's like everything, you got to evolve with the times, unfortunately, and look back at the glory days. But the glory days were, at KWQC, that's what we watched growing up. I remember my dad, I was at WQAD for probably 2 or 3 years. And my sister works there still to this day, but she worked there. And I went home before a show, and I walked in, and he's still watching KWQC. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I hadn't changed it yet. And I'm like, but that's why you got viewers, is because it's a habit. And once you get your habit to doing something, that's just what you do. And it's a hard habit to break and all those kind of things too.
Well, even today, let's face it, my old station at Channel 6, they don't do sports at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if I want to watch sports, I watch 4 and then watch you. because Jay's on a little earlier.
Yeah.
You guys are on maybe 3 minutes, so I can get 2 sportscasts.
Yeah.
And none on Channel 6.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. And that's,
No.
I know that drives Joey nuts, I'm sure. But
Well, there's people, I've had people say to me when that happened, they're like, do you know? And I'm like, well, you just, if you want to watch it, you just have to turn the station. It's okay. But no, and that's the thing is Jay's fantastic. Joey does a great job. Corey's literally a brother because we look exactly alike. So they do a good
you
thing.
guys do.
Yeah, right?
It's amazing.
It's weird. People always...
How are they going to handle you said something about the JDC. Are you going to go out and help them during the coverage? Or the plan is to do this little show out there. So there you go.
We'll be out there, and we've done one remote. We did a remote over at Oscars. We're going to do another remote coming up. A couple of my dad's golf outings coming up on June 14th. So June 13th, I'm going to do the show from Highland Springs. And then Jake Gervais has his camp coming up, the Rally for Reed, which you can still sign up for, rallyforreed.org. But we're going to do the show there, and then kind of take the show on the road and do those kind of fun things.
I think I saw we're in Charlie Jugasaw having a camp too.
Yeah, he's coming in my dad's golf outing, but he's doing a camp like the 20. It's on here. In fact, he's going to be on next week talking about it
What
too.
a great story that is, and of course now Nicholas Patrick is going to Notre Dame too. So.
Yeah, you got to now. Before we let you go, give your lovely wife some credit because she was part of the tennis dominance that is Alabama High School.
She's assistant coach to Bill Alley, but I always tell Bill, I said, you just take Nicholas and sit by him and you give Marcia the other 12.
Yeah.
I said, what's that all about?
No, she loves it, doesn't she?
Yeah. Both her sisters were tennis coaches up in the suburbs, Hersey High in Arlington Heights, and tennis has been in their family a long time. So
yeah.
She helps with the girls too. So.
Okay, I lied because one more, you're working out at Deer Run.
I am, yeah.
So, and you got a new knee.
I have a new knee, yeah. It's about 6 months old now.
And how is it?
It's coming along, still some swelling, but as young Dr. Kevin Hodge says, you have an angry knee, and we have to tell it not to produce fluid so much.
There you go. There you go.
So he's got guys I used to coach are now my doctors.
Isn't that nuts?
Mm-hmm.
Are you loving the golf course and being out there?
Oh, it's great. We got a good staff, and it's
too many singles.
I enjoy being you're either a starter or what they call course advisor. Well, the starters, I like it because you see everybody who's playing. You get to do your spiel and
BS and all that kind of stuff.
Now, the course advisor is the guy that has to go out and tell these guys they're not playing fast enough.
Mm-hmm. They got to be the mean guy.
And you gotta induce them. You gotta offer little things. I won't let the beer cart come over unless you get up that.
Are you mean to them? Are you encouraging? How do you do it?
I try and do it with some sarcastic humor. But every now and then, if they've been in town for 3 weeks, a lot of these junkets through the casino, by the time I get them on weekends, they're, as we say, fully croissant. And they never think they're playing slow.
No, I know it.
But now we have these GPS screens on our carts, Your carts are either in white, which is good.
Yeah.
Yellow means you're about 5 to 10 minutes behind. And if your cart's in red, you're in trouble.
TC's coming your way.
So when they say, we're not going slow, I say, come on over. Come on. See this screen here?
Yeah.
You see this one red dot? That's you. And they kind of understand that more.
Yeah.
But then we threaten. They said, if you don't pick it up, we're going to have you skip a hole.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
Well, that's the thing is you're not making it up. Like you have the proof that you are playing slow. That probably makes it a little bit better. But there's too many singles out there, is what I say.
Especially on weekends, we got 180 to 200 players. If those early groups are slow, like some of them 35 minutes after 4 holes, it just backs up everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody's waiting, and then everybody's upset. So you don't want that.
How's your golf game?
It hasn't been too good since the knee. I played like 9 holes 3 times.
How was it before the knee?
It was better than it is now.
I love it. TC, this has been a ton of fun. I could sit here and BS with him all day, but we have more to get to. So thanks for making the journey.
I always ask you when you call me to be on your show, I said, well, who's not showing up?
No, this was the first.
You always go to the bullpen and bring out the grizzled
I've been wanting to
right-hander.
have you on for a long time. I just didn't know if you could get lost out here or not.
Well,
but you found it.
I almost did.
You found it.
I saw the cemetery. I said, all right.
You mentioned Glenn Cook. This used to be, he grew up on a farm on this land right here. He came out to the show and told me all about it.
No, I'm sure he did.
And he told me all about it.
All about it.
Love that, man. So, TC, thank you for everything, and thank you for stopping by.
All right.
Tons of fun catching up with the one and only Thom Cornelis. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo as we look back at some of the best interviews we've gotten to do and have on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo over the first 6 months of the show. Can't believe the show is over 6 months old. Getting closer to 7 months, which we're really excited about. Of course, we're excited about the fall as well. Of course, the summer has been fun, but coming up soon is football season. We have a lot of great fun things to get to. Iowa Football Media Day is August 8th. We're going to try to do some fun things with that as well. Coming up on August 17th, we'll be partnering and joining forces with View from the West and having their View from the West kickoff party. It's 5 o'clock at the Other Bar in Moline on August 17th, the Sunday night, August 17th, 5 o'clock. Several local high school football coaches will join us. Food, drinks, all that good stuff. So if you're looking for something fun to do on August 17th, check us out at the Other Bar in Moline. And of course, we have a lot more to get to as we get ready for a fun football season and of course, the fall and winter that follows. Once again, thank you for watching today's show. And of course, we want to thank our amazing partners and sponsors here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Without these companies and these businesses, we could not do what we get to do each and every day, 10 o'clock every weekday right here in the Quad Cities. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great Wednesday, Quad Cities.